During Women's History Month, we hear a lot about shattering glass ceilings. But what if you're running into a pay ceiling? I recently talked to Sara Connell, an author and career coach who has seen firsthand how the pay gap is affecting the financial futures of women.
We've heard for years about women making less to the dollar than men in corporate jobs, retail jobs. But what I didn't know until recently was that women freelancers earn 28% less than their equally talented and skilled male counterparts. And this is happening now in industries where women are setting their own rates and running their own businesses. And so that really shocked me as a female entrepreneur who coaches women writers and thought leaders, like what's going on with this, that this is even happening where there isn't a corporate structure in place. And it shows that there is more work to do no matter what type of occupation we have.
Is it mostly because if they charge too much, they won't get the job? Is that what the thought is?
There's a combination of factors. I dug into this a little bit, did some of my own research and read what's being written on the topic. And what I found is there's really kind of a yin and yang effect. Mm-hmm. There's an external cultural bias that just does still exist, unfortunately, where some individuals and corporations, when hiring freelancers, will pay more for men, just the way that happens in corporate jobs. However, there is what the Atlantic Monthly calls the confidence gap that's also at play here, which is where women undervalue, and you've probably seen this, right? Our worth, our performance, our skill by about 25 or 30%, whereas men sometimes overvalue by about the same amount. So now we've got this internal confidence gap that certainly comes from years of inequality, but it makes some women, and I struggled with this for a long time, afraid to charge more, to go for the bigger client, to set their rates at what we're really worth. And that's what I'm really excited to help us move into and start smashing that ceiling.
Absolutely. I think almost every woman I know in business, myself included, has not been able to negotiate enough for themselves in some way. So what can we do to break through?
For sure. So if you're working with some kind of organization or corporation, a new trend that women are asking for en masse is for corporations and organizations to be transparent, meaning that they actually publish what are the salary rates or what are the freelance rates that they're setting. But when we're in, like I'm a writer and, women I coach, when we're just in more one-on-one negotiations, the first thing that really helped me was to identify the problem, right? We can't change something until we acknowledge it. So for me to really say, is this a world I want to create for my niece, my friends, my colleagues, and make a decision to close the gap, even though it's scary, to say, what are the men in my industry charging? And really work on giving ourselves the raise.
Is it kind of on men too, to share this information with his female colleagues, empower in a sense?
That's the hope, is that we're not making this women against men. I love the men in my life and there are amazing men in the world. So it's about how do we come together and just decide that we're a stand for equal pay, whatever sector we're in. So I think it's absolutely a joint job. We didn't get here by ourselves. And so I think to eradicate the inequality, it's a communal effort.
What is one mindset strategy women can use to move beyond and create these new opportunities?
Yeah, I think the idea that doing it for each other, women have been shown, and I know this is true for me, I'll work harder for a friend or a client sometimes than I will for myself. I'll take a stronger stand. So if we decide to do a rising tide raises all ships idea, that if we say, I'm going to think before I play small about, my friends and making this change together sort of virtually right now, linking arms. That's a strong mindset because we're not just doing it for ourselves. Every time we undersell or undervalue our work, it's making it harder for all the other women in our life. So I think the mindset piece for me was taking a stand for the women I care about and the men. It empowers everyone actually to go for equality. And then there's some really great tactical, practical things we can do to make those jumps.
That is such a great point. If my friend, sister, niece, nephew, if somebody's in need or needs to be lifted up, I'm right there. I need to learn to do that for myself.
Yes. Yes. And then another step is, this is fascinating too. Studies showed that women who worked with a mentor, so this could be, a paid mentor or someone who's volunteering, but women who had a mentor closed that gap faster and increased confidence and income more quickly than women that tried to go it alone, which makes complete sense. And the key is to find a mentor who, and this was the sort of distinguishing feature, who believes in a bigger vision for you. So whether we've had that, that person in our life who knows it's like, what you're capable of more. I see you doing great things. Finding that relationship professionally, either freelance or in a more traditional job, is such an important step. And women are helping, and men, finding people who believe in that vision and are going to hold us to our greatest potential.
Some great advice there.